Dionne Warwick was born Marie Dionne Warwick on December 12, 1940, in East Orange, New Jersey. Growing up in a family deeply rooted in music, she was surrounded by powerful voices from a young age. Her mother, Lee Drinkard Warwick, was the manager of the Drinkard Singers, a well-respected gospel group, and her father, Manel Warwick, supported the family while fostering a love for music. Music, particularly gospel, filled their home, and Dionne's earliest memories are laced with rehearsals, performances, and church services. Dionne, along with her sister Dee Dee and her aunt Houston, formed a gospel ensemble that marked the beginning of her stage presence. This environment not only nurtured her talent, but also laid the foundation for a musical career that would span decades. Dionne's familial ties would later prove crucial, as her cousin Whitney Houston would become a legendary voice in her own right. From session singer to superstar, Dionne Warwick's path to stardom began humbly as she worked as a session singer while pursuing her studies at the Hart College of Music in Connecticut. She lent her voice to recordings for major artists, which caught the attention of industry professionals who recognized her unique vocal talent. It was during one of these sessions that she met young composer Burt Bacharach and lyricist Hal David. This meeting would prove to be a turning point in Dionne's career, as Bacharach was drawn to her vocal precision and emotional range. Together with David's poignant lyrics, they formed one of the most celebrated musical partnerships in history. Dionne's first hit, Don't Make Me Over, in 1962, marked the beginning of a series of timeless classics that would solidify her as one of the premier voices of the 1960s. A decade of triumphs. The 1960s were a golden era for Dionne Warwick, with a string of unforgettable hits that catapulted her to superstardom. Songs like Walk On By, Anyone Who Had a Heart, I Say a Little Prayer, and Do You Know the Way to San Jose became not only radio staples but cultural landmarks. Dionne's ability to blend sophistication with accessibility, vulnerability with confidence, made her one of the most versatile vocalists of her time. These songs not only showcased her unique vocal delivery, but also reflected the changing sound of pop and soul music. With over 100 million records sold and more than 50 singles on the Billboard charts, Dionne Warwick's influence on music was undeniable. She became a household name, and her voice, smooth yet full of emotion, became synonymous with pop and soul. Continuing evolution in the 1970s, Dionne Warwick's musical evolution continued in the 1970s, where she signed with Warner Brothers Records and later with Arista Records. Under the guidance of Clive Davis, Dionne experienced a major resurgence with hits like I'll Never Love This Way Again and Deja Vu, both of which earned her Grammy Awards. This decade showcased her ability to adapt to the shifting musical landscape while retaining the vocal style that made her so beloved. The 1970s also marked her entry into collaborations with other music legends, demonstrating her versatility and willingness to explore new sounds. One of the highlights of this era was her involvement in the 1985 AIDS awareness anthem, That's What Friends Are For, a collaboration with Elton John, Gladys Knight, and Stevie Wonder. The song became a chart-topping hit and cemented her role as both a musician and humanitarian. Personal life and marriage to William Elliott. In 1966, at the height of her fame, Dionne Warwick married actor and drummer William Elliott, a talented jazz musician. Their union attracted significant attention due to Dionne's rising star power, with Burt Bacharach and Hal David's hit songs propelling her career. The couple shared a love for music and the entertainment industry, but like many young marriages in the spotlight, theirs faced significant challenges. Just a year after their wedding in 1967, they divorced. However, despite the strains that led to their separation, Dionne and William reconciled and remarried in August 1967 in Milan, Italy. The romantic gesture symbolized hope for a fresh start, filled with forgiveness and commitment to building a future together. Dionne and William's relationship, while turbulent, was also deeply loving, and their marriage served as a foundation for their growing family. Motherhood and family life. Dionne Warwick embraced motherhood with deep love and devotion. In January 1969, she gave birth to her first son, David Elliott, while living in East Orange, New Jersey. Despite her international fame, Dionne balanced her career with raising her son, creating a stable and nurturing environment for him. David would go on to pursue a career in music, following in his parents' footsteps and becoming a drummer and vocalist. A few years later, Dionne's family grew again when she gave birth to her second son, Damon Elliott, in 1973. Damon, like his brother David, would also go on to have a successful career in music, becoming a Grammy Award-winning producer and songwriter. Dionne's ability to juggle her personal and professional life shaped her identity as not just an entertainer, but a dedicated and loving mother. Marriage, struggles, and separation. While Dionne Warwick's marriage to William Elliott initially seemed like a fairy tale, the realities of balancing family life and careers in the entertainment industry proved challenging. Despite their attempts to make their marriage work, the couple faced growing strains and ultimately separated in 1975. By the end of the year, their divorce was finalized in Los Angeles, marking the end of a significant chapter in Dionne's personal life. While the marriage had its ups and downs, it provided Dionne with invaluable life experiences, including the joys and challenges of motherhood. Her sons, David and Damon, became her greatest sources of pride and joy, and their creative legacies reflect the influence of their parents' musical heritage. Dionne's personal journey, including her marriage and subsequent separation, shaped her resilience and emotional depth, which carried over into her music. Reflection on Frank Sinatra's influence. At 84 years old, Dionne Warwick made a deeply personal confession about Frank Sinatra, a figure she held in the highest regard. Though Warwick has worked with countless legendary artists throughout her career, her reflection on Sinatra revealed a rare vulnerability. "He was the only one who could do that to me," she said, acknowledging the profound impact Sinatra had on her. Known for her own impeccable vocal abilities, Dionne was particularly moved by Sinatra's ability to live inside a lyric, conveying raw emotion with every note. She admired his skill in making every song his own and his power to connect with his audience in a deeply personal way. Dionne shared how Sinatra's presence was unlike anyone else's, how when he entered a room, the atmosphere shifted, and even the most seasoned performers took notice. Sinatra's generosity and Warwick's admiration. Beyond advice, Dionne Warwick appreciated Frank Sinatra's personal generosity. He had a way of making people feel seen, even in a room full of stars. "He made me feel like I mattered," she reflected. In an industry filled with egos and competition, Sinatra's ability to uplift others and share his spotlight left a lasting impact on Dionne. His support allowed her to thrive, not just as a singer, but as a person navigating the tumultuous world of fame. Sinatra's encouragement and validation were crucial for Warwick, especially during moments of doubt. For Dionne, Frank Sinatra wasn't just an iconic performer. He was a figure who believed in her, inspired her, and showed her the power of connection through music.